Welcome to Building Your World, the commercial real estate development and investment podcast. Here, you can find insightful discussions covering industry-related topics across all asset classes and markets.
All right, hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Building Your World. I am Nicholas Long, and I am joined again by Will Ellis and McKay Brabham. We have quite a fun podcast in store for today, as we will be having our first guest on the pod. That's right, folks. We are joined by the smart, talented, and wildly popular Daniel Fallas-Naranjo, who is tuning in all the way from beautiful Costa Rica.
That's right.
How are you doing today, Danny?
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm doing really well. How are you, Nick? How you doing, guys?
I'm good. Yeah, thanks for joining. Wanted to start off by introing Danny just a bit. Danny was born and raised in San Jose, the capital city of Costa Rica. He attended the University of Costa Rica, where he studied civil engineering. And upon graduation, he worked his way into the construction industry, where he spent 6 years of his early career with a general contractor in various project lead roles. At some point along the way, he gained the interest of transitioning to the principal and development side of the real estate world, which is when he decided that he would pursue graduate school for further education. After spending some time sharpening his English skills, he came to the U.S. as a Fulbright scholar to study alongside myself and the other hosts of this podcast in the Master of Real Estate Development program at Clemson University. And for those of you who are unaware, the Fulbright Scholarship is one of the most prestigious and competitive scholarship programs globally. Upon completion of the program, Danny joined the team at Pintail Capital Partners based out of Greenville, South Carolina, to serve in a development role. After spending some time in the U.S., he moved back to Costa Rica while continuing his position with Pintail remotely. He still works for them in some capacity, which I'm sure he will reveal to us in this podcast, but he also just started working on an exciting new project in his home country, which we are hoping he will jump into as well. Before we line up some questions for Danny, I wanted to go to our regulars, starting with Will. Will, what's been going on with you? Do you have any updates for us, work-wise, life-wise? What's happening?
So work-wise, we are very involved in the marketing of our for-sale, deed-restricted condominium development, which is actually, it's very interesting how the sales process is handled, as it's a town project, and there's a very long wait list for the available workforce housing in the area. It's all done through a lottery. So that lottery is happening 2 weeks from today. So hopefully after then, we get a few more signed PSAs and we're off to the races.
That sounds pretty awesome. Is it your first time experiencing that process?
It is.
Nice. Well, good luck.
I've been doing a lot of selling on the chairlift every weekend.
Good. Yeah, there you go. Of course. Well, hopefully it goes well. I'm sure it will. What about you, McKay? What's new in your world?
Yeah, I mean, we're a couple months into the new year, and our company has a lot of assets that we hold for 1, 2, 3, 4 years. So we're kind of wrapping up annual budgeting and kind of re-underwriting and looking into the new year, which has been good. We got one lease deal done recently on kind of a smaller industrial building in North Carolina. We had another tenant's rent commencement recently for their deal, and then we're chasing some potential leases here in the upstate of South Carolina. So that's exciting. A good start.
Nice.
Good start to the year.
Yeah, sounds like it.
Yeah. How's your year starting to shape up, Nick?
Yeah, it's pretty good. We've got a lot of exciting stuff in progress. I know that I've mentioned several times the kind of flex and light industrial park that we're building. We actually just closed on that land today as we're recording this podcast.
Congratulations.
Yeah, we're very excited to move forward. And then other than that, we're just busy. We have, it's kind of interesting. And I have, we kind of hit on the fact that we're starting to see a few more deals trickle into the market. We're actually heavily looking at some build to suit opportunities.
Nice.
And alongside that, we're looking at some more value add opportunities as well. And it just seems like we're seeing more deals that are penciling better than we have before. So either way, we're excited for what this year has in store for us.
Good.
Okay, cool. Well, now let's get into the Danny section of the podcast. So, as our listeners can tell, Danny has a pretty unique background. Again, born and raised in Costa Rica, educated in America, and then obviously has some experience working in the commercial real estate development industry here. And then obviously he's pretty familiar, very familiar with the Costa Rican real estate market as well. So we're going to get kind of an interesting look into what it's like to kind of straddle the Gulf here and work in both countries. So,
Yeah.
but for a second, I just wanted to take a step back and look at your early adulthood. So,
hmm
uh, I wanted to know what led you to choose civil engineering as your field and sort of what catalyzed your interest in the construction and real estate industry.
Okay, well, thank you guys for having me. Pretty excited to be part of this. Well, that's a great question, Nick. When I made that decision, I had just graduated from high school and I was unsure, to be honest, about my passion. And, the high school I attended was technical, meaning that during the week, you go there for 2.5 days to get your academic classes like math, physics, chemistry, English, Spanish, right? And the other 2.5 days, you take courses like accounting, finance, technical English. Therefore, you go to school one more year overall, but you get a technical degree. So in my case, I received mine in accounting. And after doing an internship in a pharmaceutical company in the accounting department, I was really not enjoying the routine. So, spending 8 hours in front of the computer, everything was very systematic and methodical. So talking to my dad at that point in my life, who always been my mentor, he suggested to take a look at civil engineering curriculum, and that includes math, science, things that I like and I enjoyed, and also depending on the job, I would kind of like balance a little bit of my life between office and field work, or my at least my career. So I thought that was a really good let's say option for me. So that's kind of like how I got into, let's say, civil engineering. And then like my interest in construction, it was right after when I finished my degree. Um, I started, or I did, in order to get a engineering degree here, you have to do a paper or like a scientific study. And when I did that, it was very interesting because I had the opportunity to go to Honduras here in Central America, and I was amazed about the scale of project. They were doing wells project, so they were trying to abate the water table of a big landslide, and I was pretty amazed about that. Was actually doing by Japanese, by a Japanese company. So I was amazed about that, and I wanted to, let's say, continue in that line. And I got a job with a geotechnical company. The headquarters of that company is in Madrid, Spain, and that's how I kind of started being involved with construction, primarily like with geotechnical solutions. And then I switched after 3 years to a general contractor company, one of the four biggest general contractors companies here in Costa Rica called Bolio y Trejos. And that's how I got into the construction side.
Great, yeah. And then so from there, correct me if I'm wrong, but you spent 6 years in the GC side, and then I'm interested to learn about kind of what factored in, or how you made the decision to go back to school when you wanted to transition into the development and principal side of real estate.
Yes, Nick, after seeing the developer's role during construction, that kind of like caught my attention, and knowing that they were also involved with the financial of the business itself. I was doing the technical part. I was doing leading the construction, and from a scientific perspective, or engineering perspective, that's what you do. But I started after, let's say, no mastering, but after having some experience doing the construction process, I was more interested in learning the business itself, and again looking or seeing the role of developers was, let's say, the starting point for me to be more interested in real estate, and also seeing at my dad, let's say, progress or just experiences through real estate, and seeing how he was making deals. That was part of the reason for me to, let's say, start thinking to going back to school and learn more about real estate itself.
Great. Yeah, sounds like your dad was a great mentor of yours, and
Yeah,
likely continues to be to this day.
that's
So
right. Yeah,
yeah, that's great. I think that I think he helped guide you to the right decision, because obviously it's what led to all of us meeting
that's,
and the great experience that we had
yeah.
in school. So okay, so this will be really interesting for us to talk about as you became more familiar with how the industry works in the U.S.
Hmm.
Obviously, having started your career in Costa Rica and now being located in Costa Rica again and working in some capacity. As I said, we will get into that a little bit later. I just wanted to know, what are like the big differences that you see in the industry between the two countries?
In the industry itself, well, talking in general, I would say the process of purchasing and buying real estate is pretty similar, but in the US, you have real estate agencies, scroll agencies, title insurance companies, and that from the process itself here in Costa Rica is managed more for a notary public or just a lawyer, instead of having those separate, let's say like people, different, yeah, like parts involved in the process. Pretty much here is managed by the lawyer, and he covers all the process. We don't have here insurance or title insurance company. The lawyer, what he does is actually doing the study about the property itself, but that's just, I'm just talking about the process. But the industry in general, Costa Rica is just a 5 million people country, and the US is like 300, and I don't know what's right now, 40 million people, something like that. So definitely the scale, it's and the market scale is completely different, and the dynamic of the economy is way different. You can see it because, like, I don't know, if you put something on sale, it might take longer than in the US, just because supply of demand. But yeah, still, we have some interesting, let's say, characteristics in our market. Like mainly hospitality and tourism is the main activity here in Costa Rica. So we can maybe compare with other states, I don't know, like Florida or other states that their biggest, let's say, main activity or economic activity is tourism. But yeah, for the process, and there's so many similarities and there are differences also from a financing standpoint. But yeah, it's a general question, so I give you a general answer. But that's it, pretty much.
Yeah. So yeah, you mentioned similarities too. What would be some of those? So I understand, like you're saying, maybe the market is or reacts slower than it would
Hmm.
there than it does here.
Yeah, every economy is interconnected, so we see some, let's say, consequence or impacts of some decisions that are made in the United States here. So that affects, let's say, the influx, or yeah, like the dollars that are coming in and coming out of the country. Similarities, I would say, the process of, again, purchasing or selling real estate is similar. You have, a closing day, you have an agreement, you have a earnest money, you have a period of due diligence. That kind of things are similar. Permitting is similar and different in some way. Their designs are pretty similar. Of course, weather is completely different, but here we have very high seismic requirements for construction. I think they are slightly different than the US, well, depending on which state you are. But that's some of the similarity that I find so far. And the market is very interconnected. a lot of like retires are coming down to Costa Rica, so they're bringing their culture, and some people are getting used to also to the American system because it's just they wanna do it in the way they do it in the States. So, but that can be adapt. That's what I'm trying to say. That can be adapt to our system, and it works. It works well.
Cool. Yeah. Well, thanks for shining light on that. And I'm sorry, I feel like I'm hogging the questions for Danny here, but was curious about that as well. Um, what's going on in capital markets there? From your perspective, are local lenders? I assume that since there's so many similarities,
Mhm.
that basically the banks act in the same manner that they would here. Has
Mhm.
lending slowed down? Are you guys seeing higher interest rates? Is the residential market
Mhm.
kind of stagnating right now? What's the beat on that?
Yeah, something that is completely different, and I don't know if you guys have seen something like this when, uncertain times come, that here it's permanent, but we have variable interest rate, so we don't have fixed rates. And that makes a huge change when you are analyzing deals, because you have kind of like a base, or like a, yeah, like a fixed amount, and then on top of that, banks charge you um a threshold, or just like a,
A spread.
yeah, yeah, spread. That's right, a spread. So that's something that is happening here. So you never know, right? It can go down, it can go up, but they have a floor, let's say, for the rate, and then the spread is kind of like what is floating, right? So that's different here, and we got the public banks, those lenders, they mainly, or yeah, they are, most of the time they have more favorable or better conditions to the customers. Private banks focus on more on like big deals, or when they are international company, they're coming and they want to be part of I don't know, a big project. That's kind of like what I've seen. They are more with with that kind of projects. In general, I would say that interest rate lately has been more stable here. That's what I've seen lately. And what is happening right now, and it's being a big way after COVID, it's a huge investment in luxury houses and hospitality. Like right now, just to say something, and I know our market is a little bit little, but there is an investment of $600 million in this year just for new hotels,
Wow.
and that is talking that, yeah, like, the value or the change currency between colones, which is the currency here, and dollars, is making that influx of dollars coming into Costa Rica, is making that there's so much dollars in the economy that our currency colones is getting or more appreciated now. So we just got a lot of like projects going on from the hospitality sector, and from the residential sector, I think it's pretty stable right now. And what is driving all the economy is definitely all these new hospitality developments. Hmm.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, well, I figured that. So you're seeing like a lot of international groups come in. Um,
Yeah,
okay, and
yeah.
they're building resorts and hotels and the like.
Yeah, there are right now in the pipeline 15 really big projects, and mainly they are luxury developments, and that's what is, affecting the currency exchange, interest rate, and other different, let's say, micro and micro economics in this at this time in Costa Rica.
Where are most of those developments happening, Daniel?
Yeah.
Are they mostly on like the Pacific side near you? Are they on the eastern side, or is there much going on in San Jose?
Hmm.
Where does this stuff tend to kind of happen?
It is happening mainly in Guanacaste area, which is another Pacific side of the country. And then, the San Jose area is also helping or just having a big chunk of all this project. But mainly it's along the Pacific coast. The Caribbean coast of Costa Rica is less developed, and I don't know the reason. Like, it's beautiful, but people from or investor feel more comfortable investing in the Pacific coast. So that's where it's mainly happening.
And the Guanacaste area is where you were previously living, right?
Yeah, that's right. And for me, it
Gotcha.
makes sense to be here where all the action is
Hmm.
happening.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, well, I appreciate you jumping into the Costa Rican market a little bit and explaining that to us. It definitely sounds interesting. It sounds like there's some different challenges, obviously, in the way of capital markets and debt financing. But
Yeah.
now I just wanted to jump into the U.S. Can you kind of give us an overview of Pintail Capital Partners? We want to know kind of what they invest in, where their target markets are, and then kind of some of the projects they like to work on.
Yeah, with Pintail, they're based in Greenville, South Carolina. They're mainly a brokerage company. I'm still working with them, and they have a development arm. What we do there is, mainly, yeah, redevelopment of commercial real estate. So it can be, office, retail, industrial, things like that, and it's more adaptive reuse. Let's say we do also ground up, build to suit, kind of things, and then there will be another branch actually inside the development area that will start making more stabilized purchases of assets. So yeah, that's what they do, and they mainly focus on the Greenville area, upstate South Carolina, but they do also work along the southeast of the United States.
What's their outlook on the Spartanburg market, Danny?
Well, we got a few sites that we were looking at along the I-85, right, corridor that connects Greenville, well, Atlanta with Charlotte. And we think the Spartanburg market, it's what I know so far is that there is a lot of industrial development vacant. They built more than it was the demand that is currently right now. So we are holding in all those two sides, but we think it's a great market for warehouse and just we hope to develop those sites in the future, but maybe in the next cycle. Right now might be not the best timing.
Yeah, that's bad news for you, Will. I know you're heavily invested there, as we've discussed previously. A lot of a lot of vacancy in the industrial sector. Hey, Danny, I
Yes,
think
sir.
McKay said originally. I think this is last year, so I don't know if this is up to date, but there's evidently 20 million square feet of vacant industrial product in the. Is it just in the Greenville Spartanburg market, or is it like the upstate of South Carolina?
Yeah, I would say the upstate of South Carolina, but that's most heavily concentrated in Greenville and Spartanburg. But that includes
Anderson, maybe.
Anderson
Yeah.
and a little bit farther north as well.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. Yeah, and I don't know who asked, but for anyone that's interested listening, the reason why the upstate of South Carolina, specifically around Greenville, Spartanburg, is such a hot industrial market, specifically Spartanburg, I guess, is such a
Mm-hmm.
hot industrial market, is because there's actually an inland port there, and it serves as basically a key hub for all types of distribution throughout the Southeast and into the United States. Think about it this way, stuff comes off of ships into the ports of Charleston or Savannah, even down in Florida, Jacksonville. Basically, you can take 95, 85. There's a lot of interstates that connect 26 through South Carolina all the way
Mm-hmm.
up to that inland port and that giant distribution hub. A lot of manufacturing is based out of the upstate, and it is just a really good market for distribution and moving products. So that's why that is. But evidently, it was a little bit oversupplied, as McKay informed us.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll also add, a big thing in industrial real estate is how many people can you reach within a 1 day truck drive time. And you can reach more people. I don't know the number exactly, but you can reach more people from the Greenville Spartanburg area within 1 day than if you were located in Charlotte or in Atlanta. And that combination with the inland port is a pretty convincing story for the area.
Yeah. Got to be because of the traffic in Atlanta. I
Yeah.
assume. Yeah. Okay. Anyways, let's get back on track here. So, uh, can you discuss kind of your role at Pintail? What your day to day looked like, I guess, until our recent change. I know we're not talking about the change yet, but kind of
Mm-hmm.
what you did on the day to day and what projects you were working on.
Yeah, well, at Pintel, I work as a associate development, so I was involved with all the real estate, let's say, process. Since we were doing market analysis for future projects or trying to find vacant land or just raw land to see what are the best use of those potential projects or properties. I've been involved with the acquisition process of different sites, and with my civil engineer background, following the process, I was also in charge of leading site design uh, for potential projects. And so I was, in charge of, let's say, looking or evaluating feasibility of potential sites from an industrial perspective, retail perspective, or office perspective, and uh, dealing with civil engineers, architects through the process of design. That was also part of my daily day basis. And then when we are bidding a project, I was in charge also of that process, and then managing the GCs or the GC when we, let's say, award the project to a specific GC. So I was like pretty much, taking care of all development process, and then delivering the final product to the tenant or to the future user, trying to making sure that he's happy and we are fulfilling all the requirements. That's pretty much what I was doing. So we were managing different projects in Malden, Greenville, industrial sites, and yeah, in Spartanburg as well. So all that area, and it was more about reuse development or adapt reuse type of things, and then ground up also developments. But that was what I was doing there, and I had a great time. I had to come back to Costa Rica, so then I was doing that remotely. I'm still doing that remotely, and but now that I'm here, things are about to change. But that's what I can say.
Right. So now let's jump into the big question. So, like you said, your roles are changing. You haven't disclosed to us the details of this yet, but you just started working on a new project in Costa Rica.
hmm
So, why don't you start by telling us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I got in touch with a developer. He's from Georgia originally, but he's now a resident of Costa Rica. So he's been here for 20 plus years, and now He's ready to develop a property that used to be owned by a Japanese family here in Playa Carrillo, Costa Rica. Uh, and now we're talking about a project that it's just one property. It's around like 1,200 acres. So we have a bunch of land with beach frontage that we are right now in the planning stages. So we are working on a master plan to develop this with every kind, like any type or different types of residences that goes from really luxury ocean view houses ranging out, I don't know, probably from $5 million to one, and we will have mixed use development in different areas. So we are hoping to bring also two boutique or five-star hotels to the site, and we're just doing retail at the bottom, right next to the beach. We will have a beach different. I would say two or three beach clubs and an equestrian center. So it's a really exciting project. With really, it's a unique opportunity for this developer who loves Costa Rica to show a little bit of the mixed culture that exists here between Costa Rican and Americans, and taking advantage of that we are located in a blue zone, which is also great. Uh, and so we think it's a great opportunity to create something really unique and special here.
Who are your target buyers for those luxury homes?
You know, like in Georgia, he's really well connected, and his network, how can I say this? Yeah, it's like just his network or his network in Atlanta, Georgia has been enough to sell all the project that he has done here. But he's done, let's say, less than 20 houses, luxury houses so far. So now with this new project, he's gonna change the scale. So definitely we wanna work with with a new, let's say, selling office that will help us to get more, let's say, marketing in the US. But we know it's gonna be mainly targeting the American, let's say, market and European, because we got here a bunch of French and Germans as well. But it's gonna be mainly directed to the US customers, right? And we haven't done that strategy, or we haven't worked in that yet. But as I told you, we are just working in the master plan, but definitely that's the next step, right? To see who is going to be our potential clients for our development.
Great.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how many houses are we talking? Did you already mention it?
No, like we're not there yet, but today actually I was working on, here is a big deal, water, right? Getting water letters to develop a site like this.
Sure.
So we have some wells, and I was working a little bit on, let's say, the capacity of those wells and how much or how many houses we can build out of the capacity that we have on those in those wells. So we are talking about like maybe 300 houses, luxury houses.
Wow,
It's
that's
it's really
incredible.
it's really big. So, and we have the space to do it, and the amenities will be key, to bring all that people, and also the hotels, because when you're doing, that's what I think, when you're doing a development of this side, the idea of bringing branded or well-known hotel is to just bring traffic to the development, so they can see like, oh, this is great, I want to invest here. So that's why we want to start with one hotel first, very nice, well done, like nice, beach club, so we can market in our development, with that traffic, that is coming through the hotels. So that's kind of like the strategy as well.
Yeah, that's great. So I guess the the start of the master plan development will be sort of, I guess, the town center, as you might call it.
Yeah, we got like oh, that's the other thing. The spirit of the project is, yes, to create a great space, but the idea is also to create spaces for everyone. So we are gonna build also, condominiums for locals, and we will have that interaction, or that, it's not just gonna be for the rich people, if that's fair to say. It's gonna be a place where everybody can interact, and we are opening this to the local people, and we will have like a center, as you said, like a downtown area with parks, like a soccer field, and and things that are making, like the place
Amenities.
how do you say this? Yeah, but amenities, but it's just not about being here with a very exclusive community. It's also being part of Costa Rica and this area, so people can actually have a cultural experience here, and everybody can enjoy, kind of like enjoy the beauty of of the country, specifically this site that we are going to develop.
Sure. Yeah, sounds great.
And we're working the master plan. We're working with a company out of Fort Lauderdale, Florida. It's called ETSA, and they have really neat projects, just not in Costa Rica, but also all around the world. And so we are so happy to have them working with us, and pretty excited about what the future look like.
Yeah, well, that's a massive project. We'll definitely be tapping you a lot to see what the progress is like. Congratulations.
Thank
That
you,
sounds
thank you.
exciting. Lastly,
Hey,
okay.
yeah, hey Daniel. When I was catching up with you the other day, you were talking about one of the big things and first steps that y'all need to do is activate the airfield. Can you
hmm
tell us a little bit about that and kind of the access to the project and
Yeah.
where people will be coming from and maybe where how far the larger population centers are um, right now?
Yeah, that's a great question. Yeah, we have an airstrip right now, and so the idea that was closed like 5 years ago, because at that time weren't they weren't using it, and they decided to close it. So we are in the process. We just started the process to reopen it, the airport, let's say, or the airfield. So that will help us to bring, more exclusive clients, if we will, and the connection will be through the Liberia International Airport, which is located in the Liberia town in this like northern Pacific area of Costa Rica. So most of the connection will be through that airport, international airport, because if you drive to this side, it will take like around 2 hours from the airport. So having the ability of connecting the people through the airport directly with a regional flight, that will take maybe like, I don't know, 25 minutes, 30 minutes. So that's key for us to make that connection and make easier for people to come down here. And yeah, those will be the connections. And the biggest town close by is actually Nicoya. It's a small town still, and it's the heart of the blue zone. So that's really, unique for this project, and we're gonna take advantage of that lifestyle. But it's about like 45 minutes from our development, and that's where most of the people will live. But yeah, that's our population, the closest town that we have.
Awesome, thank you.
Great. So let's move on to our next topic. You have a side gig as well.
That's right.
You sell luxury houses down there. I'm not
hmm
sure if you're buyer side or seller side, but I'd love to hear more about what's going on there. Obviously, I know that you like to keep your time occupied. So, how's that going?
Thank you. Yeah, man. It's going slow for me because I don't have, let's say, much time to invest in that activity. But what I can tell is that is really moving right now. Last year, the company that I'm working with, it's called Blue Water Properties, and they sold, you know, yeah, they represented buyers and sellers in more than $30 million in transaction. So that's great for them. They have been growing lately a lot, and so it's moving, and it's just not about luxury houses. It's just representing buyers and sellers of any type of properties, but those are mainly the luxury ones because it's just the way the company works. But it's again, it's really exciting for me to have also that side gig because allows me to grow my network, and knowing just it's a good way to know what's going on in the market, how like what's the speed of the transactions, what are people looking at right now, what is what is the demand of this asset class versus the other one. So that definitely gives me a better perspective as a developer, and just having a better insight of what is happening in the market, in the real estate market here in Costa Rica. So it's just a double purpose or multiple purpose gig, right? And it makes me I can make a little bit of money. I can get good intel of what is happening. So that's why I'm doing that right now.
Sounds great. Yeah, I'm sure that's going to benefit you guys a lot as y'all push forward on the larger development that you have in the pipeline.
Yeah.
Um,
Yes.
so lastly, I see we're kind of running short on our time slot. I know that some of us have a hard stop, so we're going to cap it out, and we're going to have you back on as we discussed for the next podcast, where we're going to talk about a couple topics, and we're all going to get more involved. This episode has been largely Danny centric. So, last thing I just wanted to ask you is, with all that you've learned so far in your career, you've traveled much of the world. What advice would you give a young person who is seeking a way into the commercial real estate development industry?
Oh, that's a big one. So real estate is about managing risk and unknowns. So the better you understand the market and the macroeconomics and microeconomics implication, the better you make decisions to be more successful. So I would recommend just keep yourself updated and informed. Diversification and it's key, and also keep moving, because we got real estate cycles, and they will push you out of the market if you're not prepared. So just keep yourself aware of the market, and keep you informed, grow your network. And now we live in an era where we have a bunch of information. So just make sure you're investing the right time to keep yourself updated, so you can make the best decisions.
Daniel, thank you for hopping on today. This has been awesome to learn about what you're up to with your new partner and what's going down in Playa Carrillo.
Thank you. Appreciate it. That was fun. Super fun.
Yeah, I'm sure all our weekly listeners will be looking you up on Blue Water Properties like I just did and giving you a call.
Yep,
Awesome.
he's easy to find on LinkedIn. So, well, that concludes today's episode. Again, thank you very much, Danny, for jumping on with us today. We're looking forward to having you next week as we get
Yeah.
into other topics. Additionally, thanks for jumping on, everyone else, McKay and Will. It has been a pleasure, and we look forward to speaking again next time.
Adios.